Hey, this is Andrew from SpackleReview, and I'm here with my 2019 KTM 350EXC and just doing a 1-year review on this machine. I basically picked this up literally a year ago, almost, well, to the week. And since then, let's see, according to the old ticker on the thing, we have clicked over. I want to say we are at, drum roll, just under 75 hours and 2,700 miles. So unfortunately, I've been doing a lot of commuting on this thing, which I'll get to that in a minute. But I just want to say, simplest way of putting this bike, this is the greatest all-around bike that you could ever buy. If you want to be able to ride hair scramble on the weekend, toss on some different tires, go commuting on it the next day, this is your bike. This bike for me has been on everything from Midwest hair scrambles, commuting, dual sporting, and even a hard enduro. You can check the other videos. This was on that. Anything you want to do with this bike, it will do. You don't have to change anything. Okay, tires, that's a given. But gearing, keep that exactly the same. Stock 1452 on this, do not mess with it. It is perfect. Don't say that you gotta go to 1352, you're gonna hurt the character of this bike. It's not ideal for it. Makes it too herky-jerky. Keep it the 1452, it's got a good roll to it. Besides that, the only other things I've done to this thing, other than changing tires, put in a smaller tail light on it. I got some blinkers here that I modified on it. Went ahead, did that, and I got it sprung for my weight. Had to go one up on the front, one right up in the rear. And then I also did the JD tuner, which I've got a video on that. And again, I'll put money on it. You don't need to spend the money on the Vortex. The JD tuner is like 200 bucks. Save the rest of the money for gas, brakes, tires, the things that actually will help you get better. Spend the money on those. The JD, if you've got an EXC, can really help take care of those lean bits on the bike. But beyond that, handlebars are stock, levers. I tossed some, what are these? I think the KTM forged ones, because I had the big race coming up and I was like, well, I'll keep the stock ones in my fanny pack. These ones should be a little more robust. That's all there. I'm still running the stock switch gear. And here, I'm gonna grab Mr. Video Camera here and kind of point out some of the stuff, because it's, like I said, for a stock bike, I don't think you can really beat this. With how light this thing is, literally this bike weighs 248 pounds as you see it here. Just as is, so we've got full lights, and that was with a full tank of gas. 248 pounds. This is a no-nonsense number. This isn't like, hey, I put it on 2 scales and it actually weighs 280 pounds. No, this is legit. I just went through past few weeks. I stripped it down, cleaned it all up, tidied everything up. Look at this. I mean, the plastics, yeah, they're not perfect. I kind of burnt this in. I was cruising down, had my toe sitting on here, my heel resting up here a little too much. Burnt that out, but still holding fine. All the needle bearings and the swing arm, those were all greased nicely. I know a lot of people like to complain that OEMs don't grease those correctly. Well, they're wrong. These were great. Okay, you don't need it goobered with grease for it to be right. I kind of wish I had the Kickstarter on here, because I left the key on the other week. I went to go leave for work, and well, I had to get the jumpers out, which involved pulling the seat off and all that stuff. But aside from that, not really a big deal. I got on here. This is a little exhaust shield. $8 or $10 off of Amazon. Don't bother with a $80 carbon one that's just gonna, ooh, looks pretty, yay. This one here is probably the only issue I've had with the bike, is the fact that this pipe is bigger than like how the 2013 was. And so no matter what, when I was riding, my pants were hitting that. So I tossed that on, $8, solving all sorts of problems. all good there. You can see in the middle of winter maintenance here, so she doesn't have any oil in her, but it is what it is. We'll get her filled up and then we'll be ready to ride. Brakes still running strong. You can check over on this side here if there's enough light. But stock chains, sprockets, all that stuff is still nice and good. And this is literally almost 3,000 miles of, you know, dual sporting, street, everything. I did break these plastics, caught myself a nice tree, but again, so it broke this, but because of how the stuff is, it didn't really cause any issues. So this is cracked, you know. Radiators still kicking strong. I also added on there a little coolant recovery tank. KTM sells one which goes up inside the tube here, and I'll probably pick that up just to keep that tighter, so I don't have the big honking thing hanging there. You know, it goes inside of the down tube here. It would be a little tighter, not the end of the world. No leaks on the suspension. This bike just rides right. I know a lot of people will say, oh, these 48mm Explorer forks are garbage. No, they're not. That is people just whining about suspension because, well, their suspension buddy told them that they needed this or needed that. Listen, the people that are really going to want to modify this suspension are basically guys that are stupid fast who should likely have bought an XC-F or something like that as opposed to an EXC. Or the people that are completely outside of the weight range. So if you're like, you know, 300 pounds, yeah, if you're gonna have to put on that heavy of a spring, you're gonna want to have something different developing. But otherwise, whether you're a beginner or a racer, this suspension will do what you ask of it. If you're an A guy, you're gonna know that there's gonna be certain spots where maybe it's not the most planted or whatever, but you're at the point where you're going, well, I can either ride around that or whatever. But anything in between there, it is extremely versatile. Pull out some dampening and rebound in the rear and front, and you can get a bit more plush if you want to have like that more trials bike feel. You know, so if you're big with doing a lot of body English to like hop up stuff, you do that. If it's perfect, crank it up, take it to the moto track, and you will have a blast. Like I said, this bike has done anything and everything for me in the past year, and it really highlighted to me how much I kicked myself for selling my first 350. But on the upside is that this 19 is worlds above and beyond what the 2013 was. This engine has so much giddy up and go. It's very impressive. Chassis, suspension, all very much confidence inspiring. You rip down a farm field and you can go literally as fast as you want and the bike just tracks straight. Go into the slower second or third gear single track, and so long as you work it where you get some heavy on the brakes and pivot with the rear, the bike turns on a dime. It doesn't feel like a mountain bike like some of the two-strokes I've ridden, but that's okay. The way that it builds power and will be far more linear with everything, it makes up for that, and it's just so easy to ride. Every little bit of twist of the throttle, it's just a linear, very, very comfortable to ride. There's almost nothing that I don't like about this bike, aside from what KTM still really, really sucks at, is making electronics that aren't trash. It seems that they've got made a deal with the Molex Devil and seem to like to put open Molex connectors on everything related to lights and the accessory wiring. Now where they go into the ECU, throttle body, TPS, all that stuff, that's nice sealed connectors, but other stuff, it's kind of shoddy. And when you're buying a $10,000 bike, you kind of wish that weren't there. But you pretty much let that slide in the fact that, like I said, this is, as it sits here with a full tank of gas, 248 pounds, literal ready to race. you don't get any other bike like that with a 50 state plate on it. It's just, nobody else has it. The closest you get is the Honda CRF 450L, but that's a 280, 290 pound bike. It's a 450, and I would guess that it's going to be a bit more open terrain friendly, and not so agile in the woods. So if you got any questions on this, let me know. I'm going to keep beating the snot out of it. One thing I forgot to mention, I read on the internet basically people saying that you got your clutch pack right here, and then your oil pump over here, and then between the two there's an idler gear. So according to like 2 people out of everyone on the internet, they've had that gear fail. Potato chips, and basically blows up the bike because it doesn't spin the oil pump, and well, no oil equals going dry, and well, no one wants to go dry. So they posted the replacement part number from KTM. They went from a straight nylon part to a glass-filled nylon, and I ended up picking one of those up the other week, or well, probably a few months ago now, and finally got it put in last week. Pretty straightforward swapping it out. It gave me a chance to look at the clutch plates, the rubber dampers and all that in the clutch assembly. Everything looked good in there, but it was something where I honestly don't feel it's an issue. This 250 and 350 engine has been used on literally a bajillion bikes since it came out with the 2016 Supercross bikes up to basically 2019 with the Enduro bikes. So that whole same age range, 4 model years over the 250Fs and 350Fs. I don't think it's a widespread problem, but it's one of those things where if you're gonna go do something in there, it's not gonna hurt to spend the extra 20 bucks on the gear and the new snap ring. So something to think about, not something that would, to me, make you stop ride. I know if it happened to you, you're probably going, oh, this is the worst thing. I get it, crap happens, but that's about the only goof up on everything. Valve's always been in spec. Just beyond pleased with this bike. I'm wishing that it were nicer out right now, because I'd go toss the other wheels on and take it for a nice scoot around, but well, we got salt brine sprayed onto the roads because, oh, lovely Midwest. But if you have any specific questions on this bike or anything else in particular, let me know. Happy to help. Like I said, I'm pleased as punch. It's just a great bike, and I'm not happy with all of what KTM does, but they really knocked this bike out of the park. And the best way of putting it is, if you want a single bike to be able to do darn near anything and everything, and with confidence, this bike right here, KTM 350EXC. If you got a chance, ride one. It'll be a costly ride. Andrew, Spackle Bucket Moto. I'll catch you later. Peace.